Now, US President Donald Trump has said he plans to substantially increase tariffs on goods from India over its purchasing of Russian oil. In a social media post, Trump accused India of buying and reselling large amounts of Russian oil on the open market for big profits. New Delhi responded by saying it will take measures to protect its interests and describing the steps by Washington as unfair. India has resisted pressure from the US to distance itself from Russia since it invaded Ukraine, citing its own economic needs. Let's get some analysis from Bhaskar Chakravorty, Dean of Global Business at the Fletcher School at Tufts University. He joins me now from Boston. Now, Trump cited India's energy and defense deals with Russia as a reason for extra penalties. Is this really about trade or something bigger?
Well, I think it's, as always, it's about something bigger. There is, I believe, a Russian dolls phenomenon, if I may use the analogy here, and that has to do with Trump's own frustration about not being able to resolve the Russia-Ukraine crisis. And he had originally expected that his former friendship with Vladimir Putin would lead to a swift resolution of whatever the issues were that Putin was looking to resolve with his invasion of Ukraine. And that didn't work. And now he is frustrated about the fact that the crisis continues. And India is among the among several, but some among the few high-profile nations that is doing business with Russia, and he sees that as an increasing source of annoyance, and has resulted in this, most recent, I would imagine, a breakdown of talks with the Indian officials on lower tariff rates. Of course, the tariff rates have been lowered from original 26% to 25%, but Trump has promised additional rates to punish India for continuing to buy oil from Russia.
Well, could these tariffs also hurt American companies, especially those that have deep ties to Indian supply chains?
Well, of course, it does affect American companies and American consumers. Perhaps the most significant areas where it might bite is in generic pharmaceuticals. A lot of that is manufactured in India. And one of the reasons why people like generics is because they're cheaper than the branded pharmaceuticals. So it's going to show up on the shelves of drugstores in America somewhere down the road. It's going to take a little bit of time. But in the meantime, I also expect that this is going to be a process of continued negotiation between the Trump administration and the Indian officials. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of a high-level video call that is scheduled between Prime Minister Modi and Trump, because ultimately both sides realize that there is a personal connection between the two leaders that would need to be exploited in order to get to a better resolution. Right now, it seems to be a face-off, and that doesn't help either the American interests or the Indian interests.
About those negotiations, do you see India trying to negotiate its way out, or will this push New Delhi to look for new trade allies beyond Washington?
Well, India doesn't have too many options, right? So in terms of trade allies, the United States is the largest trading partner, and the American tariffs are going to hurt quite a bit, particularly for a country that is suffering from a deep employment crisis, and this is not going to help. So I think India does want to do a deal with the United States at a lower tariff rate. And the United States perhaps needs to get a better appreciation for why doing business with Russia is important for India. And to some extent, I think also the problem is that President Trump does not read anything that's more than the length of a Truth Social post. So there is some history behind India doing business with Russia, especially in terms of buying oil. The history has to do with the fact that about 50% of the oil that India buys eventually goes to Europe. And it's European nations that actually benefit from oil refined in India that originates in Russia. And Also, the fact that India buys oil partly results in some stabilization of oil prices globally. So it does eventually affect the American consumer as well. But that's too long and too complicated for Trump to really focus on. So eventually, some
We'll
of
have to
those
stop you there. Sorry,
points
Mr.
need to be
Chakraborty. Thank you so much for all of that insight.